Thank you, Mr. President. It is amazing. I come here day after day, session after session, and I hear my colleagues on the other side talk about fantasies and fallacies and things that have been investigated by the police. And the police said it did not exist, it does not exist, they found no evidence, but they still come here, Cambridge Analytica, Cambridge Analytica, Cambridge Analytica. Let me let my honorable colleagues know that even their leader, the Honorable Prime Minister, when the police investigated and said there is absolutely nothing in that fantasy, that book that he keeps on a shelf behind him while doing his press conferences from home, he said that Trinidad and Tobago must not be a real place. He was the first politician to coin that phrase. I don't know why he calls the rest of us idiots now, but that's the Prime Minister of the Republic. So please, when we're here to debate, let's debate with fact. Let's debate with information and evidence. On a number of occasions, the PNM has said that we are in the upper house and we must present an argument in such a way, but continuously, the fallacies that are portrayed by the PNM is becoming obnoxious, especially a PNM that is led by a Prime Minister. We are here to debate a motion brought by the Honorable Senator Wade Mark about the proclamation of a critical piece of legislation, 12 years in the making, data protection. One would believe that a Prime Minister who could be so bamboozled by an undetectable technological digital fraudster that he announces to the entire population that we are to be the beneficiaries of a largesse of money, that this Prime Minister, being so embarrassed by that fraudster, would be the first one to ensure the full proclamation implementation of data protection to protect himself from fraudsters, to protect the government and the people. But yet we are left here, the people, the businesses, the citizens, the opposition are left here begging the PNM government to proclaim the Data Protection Act 2011. The incompetence and the ineptitude of the PNM is constantly on display. They cannot find a file, whether it is a hard file nor a digital file. We come here and I just listened to the Honorable Minister, who is the former minister in the Ministry of Finance. And she boasts on many occasions about her expertise in the digital arena, technology, and so on. Yet, I wonder if she is aware that citizens have complained, citizens who wanted to pay their taxes early, before time, in January and February of this year, 2023. After they had gone on the Ministry of Finance website, filled out all their forms that they have become accustomed so to do, presented themselves to the Ministry of Finance to pay their taxes. And they were told, no, 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 we have a new app. The ministry is gone digital. So they asked, but we are here. We have our $80 to pay for the filing fee and so on. What do we do? Go home, download the app, and you will go and fill out all those forms, put information on it about each director, and each director must fill out and get an ID form. They said, well, okay, when we do that, how are we going to pay? Well, the payment portal not working yet, so what you have to do is go and use the app and then come back here and pay. That is PNM for you. And this in a government who every single day since the budget was read in the lower house and here in the upper house, when I remarked at what a dangerous thing this PNM was doing, the Minister of Finance, if you all recall, I said, why are you pegging the budget so close to where the actual prices of oil and gas were? That is not the norm. The convention had been for ministers of finance to always leave a buffer, to leave a gap. But the Minister of Finance and the PNM said, no problem, they have it under control. But right now, people who want to pay their taxes, the app is not working, and each day the government is losing revenue that does not exist because they budgeted at $92.50 per barrel of oil, and it's averaging now $86. They budgeted at $6 US per MMBTU,
Mr. President,
and it's running at $2.46.
1 second, Senator Roberts, Leader of Government Business, point of order.
Standing Order 46-1 with respect to relevance.
Okay, Senator Roberts, so as much as you're beginning your contribution and it's in the introductory phase, I would ask you to quickly tie it to the motion that's before us.
Guided, Mr. President, I would not expect my learned colleague to understand what I'm saying about the app and the digital and the data protection, which all goes into why we are here, but I'll move on. The lack of prioritization of this critical act by the PNM, the Honorable Minister of Digital Transformation said, and I quote in his contribution to this debate, so we will and must proclaim other layers of it. But you cannot just do this. One of the bad words that was used in that motion was immediate. I do not think you could quarrel about the value of having the Data Protection Act, and most of it proclaimed. But that immediacy is part of a problem, considering how to manage data is one of the highest priorities that we have, because it is absolutely critical. But I asked the Honorable Minister if it's absolutely critical. Since 2016, you in government since September 2015, what is immediate about 7 years? I'm finding it very strange and difficult to understand the immediacy in such long terms. The Honorable Minister continued, data is considered the new oil. In Trinidad, we could say it is the new gas. It is the key component of how everything in the world works. The availability, analysis, management, and consumption of data is a major driver for not only for social things, but for economic growth, said the Honorable Minister. I nearly wanted to get up and applaud, but then I have to sit here and see that 7 years on, we are still talking about it's a work in progress. We are working, the work is difficult, and nothing is being achieved by this PNM government. Unfortunately for my learned colleague, he used an unfortunate analogy because the PNM has decimated the very energy sector that he boasted about in its entirety. Now it seems with data protection as well. The act we are debating here was first passed through Parliament in 2011. The minister's position that the word immediate is unreasonable because technology and its implications for data are rapidly evolving on a continuum. So what are we doing? Wait until it stops evolving or the pace of evolution slows down and then play catch up? But I could tell you that the opposition is we're so empathetic for the government in its state of incompetence that Honorable Senator Wade Mark and Senator Lyda have even agreed to amend this motion to ease up the pressure on the PNM government. We're feeling so sorry for y'all that that's what we would do. So don't argue with us for trying to feel. We're trying to help you. The people need help, and you all need help. So that's why we amended it to give you a little date, a little ease. We're sorry for trying to put too much pressure on you all. We know you're not capable. The Minister of Digital Transformation went on. Mr. President, he said, the practical consequence of all these considerations is that the full proclamation of the Data Protection Act is much more than an administrative process. And just by including the word immediate, you get the impression that it is all it is. 10 years have passed, said the minister, since we have had this. Again, I state, we must validate that. It is the fit for purpose, that it will meet today's fast-paced, rapidly changing and evolving digital world, but every day in a PNM slow pace. the pace of the slot, the world moved forward 10 paces. So we might be here 20 years. Luckily, there'll be an election in less time, and we won't have to deal with the slow pace of the PNM anymore. The first thing we have to make sure, said the Honorable Minister, is that it addresses various technological and social changes that have occurred since it was partially proclaimed in 2011-2012. I would like to suggest that the proclamation of the Act really is a subsequent thing to the modernization of the Act. I also want to put both of them as a one-time exercise. This is the excuse being used by the PNM for coming here and begging the citizens to bear with them, that they're trying their best and they will try to do better. Now work on the modernization of data protection. And he goes on lower down. He said, the Honorable Minister said, with support of the Inter-American Development Bank, a number of these proposed amendments are being evaluated. And of course, they will find their way back here into this Parliament. Well, of course, that was a very strong term. We're still waiting, sir, for example, for the pepper spray to keep our women, our ladies safe. Where the pepper spray? They said, of course it will come. Of course they will have it. Of course it will be available. But where is it? It's not here. Factor. We came here in the Senate and lower house and we said that they would pass the laws, and the UNC, the opposition, supported, yet up in the embassies are closed. So I don't share the confidence of the Honorable Minister that of course the amendments would reach. The office has been proclaimed, he said. Been proclaimed. Fair enough. Where the commissioner? What's his number to call him? Who to check him? How was he appointed? What's his credentials? He does not exist. So proclamation, passing legislation, and appointments with the PNM, each is a tedious thing to go through at this pace, incompetence with leaving our people unprotected. The Minister of Digital, I'm sorry to continue with him, but he's in charge. He's a good fellow, you know. But Minister of Digital Transformation said, we are working to ensure that measures in this same Data Protection Act meet and are consistent with European Union's General Data Protection Regulation. The European Union's GDPR is considered the gold standard for data protection and privacy worldwide. So in that regard, the Ministry of Digital Transformation has received and is in the process of accepting an offer of assistance from the European Union in the area of data management, including and ensuring, as long as it takes me to read the Honorable Minister's words, it's 10 times longer for this PNM to actually achieve work. Why is the PNM so averse to work, to success, to implementation, to improvement of the lives of the citizens? Senator Dylan Remy, she had my frustration. She asked the Honorable Minister, and the Honorable Minister gave way. And Honorable Senator Dylan Remy asked, Minister, given that the environment will continue to change, and even at a more rapid rate now as we go ahead, and you are now talking about 11 years since the act was proclaimed, what kind of time frame are you looking at in moving forward for the amendments to come to the House? Asked Senator Remy. And the Honorable Minister answered, I don't even want to read out because I don't have that much time. Let me say he did not answer. He used a lot of words, which is the PNM ways, and he did not answer. He gave no answer, no timeline, no confirmation, nothing other than a lot of beautiful words said in a soft voice. So the minister in true PNM form, plenty words, no answer, no action. He said, and the Honorable Minister said that the process has to happen for this too. What I can assure you is that we are trying to do it in the shortest possible time. Well, I'll just tell you as an Olympic swimming coach, losers try, winners achieve, winners succeed. So all of this trying, the PNM is showing their quality and their caliber. The shortest possible time. I heard the Honorable Attorney General, who I'll get to shortly, The crux of his presentation today was about the shortest possible time. We'll do it as soon as possible. But we'll wait for that. The other thing about it, Senator, is that we do not have to do all. This is the Honorable Minister talking, answering Senator Remy. We do not have to do all at once. As we've seen the case now, we have done some, and we can do others. So it's not that we have to wait on all, but we have to make sure that we continue. Now, this led me to scratch my bald head, because we come here to make laws, and we would love to make laws in a general sense. It doesn't matter who's in government. The laws should be impartial. They should be even. They should be every citizen, no matter of race, ethnicity, class, income bracket. The law should be applied equally. But when I looked at some of these laws, these clauses that were proclaimed, it was very interesting. And one of the points made by the UNC and by Senator Mark is that one must not cherry pick clauses to proclaim. If you have a law and it's designed to protect, proclaim the law and protect the people. But it's very interesting, because I was privileged to get a document from the Ministry of Finance, a memorandum from the Valuation Division, and it's from a Miss Suzette Leachy, Permanent Secretary, from Emrys Garraway Howell, Commissioner of Valuations, and it's dated the 10th of August 2021. Keep that date in your mind. And the subject is the effect of Section 6C of the Data Protection Act on Valuation Division's ability to share data with the BIR and the Ministry of Local Government. Now, some of the in the PNM will already know what I'm talking about, but for those at home, let me give you a little context. Remember, the PNM government wants to oppress you further with property tax. No matter how hard things are, no matter how much unemployment, no matter how much food price inflation, no matter how your fuel subsidy is gone, they are insisting that now is the PNM time for property tax. But they had to get to a certain benchmark. They had to get a certain number, because the UNC had taken them to court previously. And they had to get a certain amount of population to fill out forms and get data and move the process forward to pass that, to put property tax on each and every one of you. But on the 10th of August 2021, a public servant wrote, and I quote from this document, "Valuation Division is mandated under the Valuation of Land Act, Chapter 5803, Section 25, that upon the creation of the valuation role to share same with the Board of Inland Revenue and the Ministry of Local Government and such persons as may be prescribed, the information to be shared will consist of the name and address of the property owners. Such information, according to the Data Protection Act, Section 2D, is considered personal data. And Section 6 of the Act prohibits the division from sharing such data. It is noteworthy that the effect of this section of the Data Protection Act is that it overrules Section 25 of the Valuation of Land Act, and thereby makes it difficult for the implementation of the Section 25. As you are aware, the valuation role facilitates the collection of revenue via property tax by the Board of Inland Revenue. Therefore, I am concerned that should the Data Protection Act remain in its current form, in brackets, not fully proclaimed, then Valuation Division would find difficulty in successfully achieving its mandate. So the Valuation Division mandate from the PNM is get many people, get the roles, fill it out. We have to tax them. We have to take their money, get it done. But this lady who's in charge says, well, the Data Protection Act not being fully proclaimed is inhibiting us from doing what the PNM has instructed us to do. So what does this public servant say? The following is therefore recommended. 1, that the Data Protection Act be fully proclaimed. This would mean that Section 42, which provides, and I quote, meaning the lady is writing the memorandum, except as provided under any other written law, personal information under the control of public body may only be disclosed, A, for the purposes for which the information was collected or compiled by the public body, or for a use consistent with that purpose. That is their first recommendation. Proclaim the whole act. Please, proclaim the whole thing so we can do our work. You all want us to get there and tax people and hit them property tax, tax them and take more money from them. We need that. Or, secondly, the Data Protection Act be repealed. Those were the two suggestions from the independent public servants. Now, if you all were, I told you all what date to remember? 10th August 2021. I now take you to the 23rd day of August 2021. Legal notice number 220, Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. In this legal notice, 13 days after this memorandum, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago, decided to provide a solution to ensure that property tax will be put on the citizens. What was this solution? The recommendation said proclaim the whole act or repeal the act. The PNM takes that and decides to proclaim, to cherry pick and proclaim Section 42A and B by itself. Let me read the proclamation. A proclamation number 18 of 2021, dated 23rd day of August 2021, by Her Excellency Christine Kangaloo, Acting President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Christine Kangaloo, Acting President, a proclamation. Whereas it is provided by Section 1(2) of the Data Protection Act, Chapter 2204, hereinafter referred to as the Act, that the Act shall come into operation on such a day as fixed by the President by proclamation. And whereas it is expedient that Section 42A and B of the Act come into operation, now therefore I, Christine Kangaloo, Acting President as aforesaid, do hereby fix the 23rd day of August 2021 as the day on which Section 42A and B shall come into operation. So please, PNM, save me all the discussion today about a changing world global landscape and proclaiming the law is so difficult and we need to research and consult and we're working in progress. When the PNM wanted something done, which is to ensure that people will have to pay property tax, they got it done. They cherry-picked and they proclaimed a section to allow the people to suffer under their heinous, wicked, oppressive tax. And there is no escaping it. So all the nice talk, all the beautiful words about coming and as soon as possible and we shall do this. You did what you wanted to do for yourselves, for what your agenda was, and you came to cherry pick in legislation, which is not the way laws should be made. as we talk about the ways laws should be made, the Honorable Attorney General entered the debate today, and it would be remiss of me if I left the beleaguered Attorney General unscathed. I will assure the Honorable Attorney General from the onset that my legal colleague on this side, a lawyer, brilliant young female lawyer, has certainly not lost her honor in any form or fashion, as was suggested by the Attorney General. I can also assure you that my learned senatorial colleague on this side never lied on an affidavit and signed it, local or foreign. I can also assure you that my learned colleague on this side never misplaced a file, whether hard copy or digital. So she sits with honor.
Senator, so as you are beginning to get into your contribution, the voice level is going quite high. So just do me a favor and push the mic away from you so that it does not bombard us. Thank you.
I humbly apologize. I agree with you there, Mr. President, because when someone uses their office to take advantage of a brilliant woman, a brilliant attorney, I get sort of angry. So my voice raised, and I humbly apologize. I apologize to you, Mr. President. You are fair, and I agree with your assessment, because I really went up loud. But please forgive me, that's the way my mother raised me. So, exactly. One may have learned before. However, one becomes, no matter how learned one may have been before, Honorable Attorney General, once one becomes infected with balisade juice, all previous learning is sadly, swiftly lost. The Honorable Attorney General said, governance is difficult, consultation, bureaucracy. We on this side understand that because we are in politics, political science, and governance. It seems that the PNM has come to do learn on the job, on-the-job training. We on this side know about the bureaucracy. We know how slow things work, and that's why the UNC always works, and old talk never wins. Performance beats old talk. If you cannot do the job, move, let we pass. But don't come here and cry that the job is so difficult. It's so hard. We don't know what to do. Oh my goodness, it's a bureaucracy, and you have to wake up early, and you have to make many calls, and you have to push people to get the job done. That's what the job entails, to serve the people. If you cannot do the job, come out. The Honorable Attorney General said it's a work in progress. Well, let me alert him that the UNC works and completes work. The PNM in 8 years, every single thing has collapsed. Everything is a work in progress for the PNM. The PNM uses terms such as hopefully, maybe, possibly. What is an absolute certainty is that the next time you in the PNM dare to face the polls, you will be resoundingly voted out of office in a tsunami of national discontent. The Honorable Attorney General said he amended this motion to say as soon as possible. And being an Olympic coach who works with time down to the 100th of a second, I was wondering what time is as soon as possible. If I took George Bovell into the Olympic final in 2004, and he said, Coach, what time should I go out my butterfly in and then my split for the backstroke? And I said, boy, you just go as soon as possible. You take it as soon as possible. I wonder if he would have understood what time it is. But as soon as possible, Honorable Attorney General, your PNM government said the Petrotrin refinery shall be reopened as soon as possible. It opened yet 5 years and counting. The PNM government of which you are a part now said the recommendations made by the Judith Jones report on abuse of our nation's children at homes across TNT will be implemented as soon as possible. We waiting 14 months, yet our children remain unprotected and at the mercy of monsters. The PNM government said as soon as possible. The Dragon Gas deal with Dan since 2018. We in 2023. No Dragon, no gas, no dance, no cash. The Honorable Attorney General stated that the population, that a judge in Florida was patently wrong and the error would be corrected as soon as possible. When me see it corrected, I saw it endorsed. I support my colleague's motion as amended and urge the PNM in the little time they have left in office to please try to complete some work, do something. I'm begging y'all, because it's very hard to see a government that is just so totally incompetent. The citizens are unprotected, unsafe, scared, and rudderless. Pained, disappointed, and losing hope daily due to your PNM government's complete and absolute incompetence. Either work or move let we pass. Protect the data, protect the children, protect the citizens, protect our country. Call elections now, since all you're arrogant. Call it now so we will protect the country under the UNC and the rising sun. Thank you, Mr. President.